What's something that you've done while horny and you regret it?
Drove 1,200 miles.
Asked my wife if she was interested in us getting a butt plug. She gave me a confused look and said, if you're into it, sure. And then after purchasing realized that we both had different ideas on who it was for.
I was edging for 3 hours. Had the idea that tying my dick with a shoelace would hold everything together for at least another hour. It held on for 2 and nutted so hard I felt some pain on my abdomen and legs. Took me an extra hour to sleep and the next day my whole body was fatigued. Thought I twisted my testicle or some beep. I recovered after around 48 hours.
When I was a stupid teen, I put an ice cube in my vagina. My reasoning was that if hot water felt nice, maybe something extremely cold would. It did not feel nice, it was horrible, and I couldn't remove it. 3 minutes of agony.
In my early teen years, I accidentally made my clit burn using Vicks VapoRub that was supposed to give it a tingling sensation. I watched way too much BDSM and got ideas. I was in immense pain and was lying spread out under cold water to try and make it stop, and I couldn't tell my extremely religious parents or they would have freaked out.
Using shampoo to jerk off. Worst piss pain ever.
When I was about 12 to 13, I had just learned about sex. One day I was super horny and was playing with my dad's back massager. I quickly realized that it felt really good to press it on my dick. I took it into my bedroom and went to town. My mom was walking by and heard the noise, so she just let herself in. Needless to say, things were weird after that for a bit, and she hid the massager.
Sex with my ex, the same day I moved out. We had broken up earlier, but it took a couple of months before I managed to find a place to move all my stuff. Afterwards, I just laid there and hugged her hard, didn't want to let go. Just laid there in a cuddly mess for half an hour, covered in sweat and other bodily fluids, but most of all, tears. I don't know why the beep I did that to myself. It was supposed to make us both feel better and relieve stress, but it was just torture. I should have just left much earlier. Preferably when she wasn't at home.
Got jizz in my ear, ended up with an ear infection. Try explaining to a doctor what the foreign liquid is in your ear when you're 15.
IDK. Anytime I go on a porn binge and have post-nut clarity on some bizarre as beep.
Almost got a bar of soap stuck in my booty hole.
5 years ago, boss recruited someone new and introduced them via WhatsApp group before we met them. New recruit and I started chatting in WhatsApp before we ever met, and I took it too far too fast. Went to meet him that night. I was deeply not attracted to him, and his home was horror story dirty and cluttered. I accepted his weak offer for alcohol and got drunk really fast to avoid facing reality. I felt too bad for him to leave, but I knew the alcohol would help me, help him. The sex ended up being one of the best I ever had to date, but he is such a gross person, hygiene and personality. I regret everything about the way it happened. Same year, swimming in self-hatred, I also beeped the boss of that job. 2 regrets for the price of 1. You're welcome.
Hooked up with a coworker who looked like Mr. Bean. She was a girl.
Enthusiastically went home with a guy who said he had a dog. He had 2. Found out from a friend the next time he had just gotten out of jail for homicide.
I came onto my best female friend. We'd flirted back and forth for years, so I didn't see the harm in asking. I was super blunt about my interest and she laughed the whole thing off. We talked less and less after that, and now I haven't spoken to her in 2 years. I regret beep up the best friendship I've ever had to try to get my dick wet. It was so beep stupid of me.
Her name was Annie, and she stalked me for 2 years after that.
Beat my landlord. He lived in the same building on the floor below me with his ex-fiancée. It was actually pretty fun until he started monitoring when I was home and knocking on my door when he knew I was home alone. Had to put an end to that real quick. My only regret is not getting a discount on rent. Frown.
Jacked off to that guy's dead wife.
I held hands before marrying.
Paid for prostitute. Was single and lonely, working abroad, mental condition was getting worse. I'm trying to excuse myself, but I can't stop thinking about why TF I have done that. I'm not feeling comfortable with myself now. This social stigma is making it even worse. Edit. Thank you all for all your good words, you all making me feel more comfortable with myself.
Meticulously cleaned my entire parents' house while I still lived with them, took hours to shave every from hair off of my body, and lost weight to fit into an overpriced lingerie set. This guy the first was talking to said he was going to come over and rock my world. Literally the day of, as I was sitting there on my bed massaging my legs with lotion to stop the burning from using Nair, he calls me, drunk as beep, to gloat about how he met this girl that let him put it in her butt. They were still going at it while he was talking to me on speakerphone. I just hung up and cried from frustration. They dated for 3 weeks before they broke up because he stole money from her, so I guess I dodged a bullet, so there's that, at least LMAO. I was 17 and stupid.
Beep a couch. When I was like 13. I was at a sleepover at my mom's boss's house. I was friends with her kids, and it was like 2 a.m. and my dick was saying it's go time. I heard Shane Dawson or some other YouTuber at the time say they beep a couch, so I thought I'd give it a go. I cut my dick on the cushion zipper and I think my couch beep days are over. Edit, thanks for my first award.
I'm really hairy, and my first girlfriend mentioned to me very early on in our relationship that she doesn't like a lot of body hair on guys. One of our first times hanging out together as a couple, we planned to go to the beach, so I shaved my entire stomach. Just the stomach, I left all the chest hair, arm hair, back hair etc. intact. I must have looked like a chubby yeti in a bathing suit.
Not my story, but my old band mates. So here we have a horny teenager. He was maybe 16 at the time and he just came out as gay this year. He had been experimenting and we were bros, so he would always overshare these experiences. Well, one day he tells me he had made a huge mistake. He really wanted to know what something bigger than his fingers felt like, and he had heard of people using cucumbers as dildos. That said, he only had pickles at home. He did not, however, account for the vinegar and spices. I don't know the pain he felt, but I do know he regretted it immediately.
I sat on a glass jar.
I woke up next to Pam. She was a shipyard welder and I was Beep. This was back when I feared and had trouble with tequila. Even worse was that she hit me up a couple of weeks later.
Jacked off in the shower while laying down in the tub, shower water raining down from above. It was very nice and ended nicely. Later that day, I went to take a beep, beep wouldn't come out, and I felt an odd tugging sensation between my ass cheeks. Thought I was dying and started freaking out while I tried to pinch my beep off to investigate. Turns out my jizz had found its way into my ass cheeks while laying down in the tub, mingled with all my ass hair, and solidified into a gelatinous plaster. Upon beep, the hair was so beeped together that my cheeks couldn't separate for the beep to emerge. Felt like that Play-Doh hair salon toy. I ended up having such a massacre of beep on my ass and hands that I had to get back in the shower just to clean off.
My 20s. The whole damn decade.
Asked a escort to come over to my house at 2 a.m. instead of jerking off like ya know for free. Well, she and 3 other guys ended up kicking in my door and robbing me and my house. 0 tenths never again.
Posted this before, but beep the beep out of my GF's aunt. GF and I already broken up, but I still went to her dad's Christmas party alone. They sat me next to the crazy aunt. BC, nobody liked her. She was annoying, but very interesting. She had been in various stage plays on Broadway. She once lived in Mongolia. She was once engaged to a sheep rancher. And she was also apparently very horny. I kept looking at her legs, and she knew it. She grabbed my hand and put it on her knee, and I knew what she wanted. Then my hand started to wander. Up north.
Had sex with my Tinder date in his office. It was our first date and we walked around the city for a little bit, but it was really cold outside. He then told me that his office was right around the corner and we could go there for a cup of tea. Yeah, well, I hadn't had sex in like 6 months, and when he made a move I just couldn't resist. Woke up the next morning just thinking, WTF did I do?
Deep heat. Let me tell you now, ladies and gents, it is not a warming sensation on your most sensitive parts. Post-application I immediately ran to the bathroom, with the remnants of my smoldering member in my hand. Was telling my GF at the time on the telephone later that day. My dad must have overheard. Next time I was hosting a few friends, he walked into my room and said something along the lines of, "Fellas, you be careful on your application of deep heat," and walked out.
Beep a coconut.
Ruined a jar of peanut butter.
Friend passed away due to a trucking accident, went on Tinder due to desired needs after a divorce. Took a chick's virginity and later found out she was the friend's sister visiting for the few weeks till they figured out the funeral. Never told anyone about this.
Came in a shoebox.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more quality content every day.